Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of the Shill and Sarcasm Show, where Patty tries to steal the hairdresser. Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we got the hotness, like the new hotness. We have the Elite Drive 65D wheels version 2. These are brand new for 2025. These things look gorgeous. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be going over the specs. We're going to get these bad boys weighed out. Of course, we're going to be doing a free hub sound test on these wheels. And then I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on these wheels now that I've ridden them for at least a couple of weeks, about 2 to 3 weeks so far. So without further ado, let's begin. And by the time this video airs, Elite Wheels will be having their annual summer promotion where you can save upwards of 20% off your purchase from Elite Wheels. And of course, Elite Wheels, they did send me out these wheels for testing and review. And I do have a promo code, which I'll link somewhere in this video, where, like I said, you can receive up to 20% off your purchase. And that includes the Elite Drive version 1, the version 2, as you see behind me, the Helix wheels, etc. Elite Wheels Drive version 2 for 2025. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the specs on these wheels. So first and foremost, at this point on my YouTube channel, I've been running this channel for about 4 to 5 years or so, and I have been testing wheels from Elite for about 4 years or so. In fact, they were one of the first few brands that I've ever been able to partner with, and so I'm super grateful at this point to have a good relationship with them. So new for 2025, these are the Elite Drive 65D version 2. So first off, we got 65 millimeters in the rear as well as the front. Now, some of the differences we have versus the version 1 of the Elite Drive 65D wheels, which I have done a video on those in the past. Some of the key differences is, number one is we have wider carbon bladed spokes. I believe these are from Vonda, a very popular manufacturer of carbon spokes, but these are a lot wider than the version 1 of the Elite Drive. So that's number one. The second update that Elite Drive made to these wheels, besides just using wider carbon bladed spokes, is the rim profile on these. So these have an internal width of 23 millimeters. The external width on these is 31. And what that does is that stretches out these Continental GP5000 tubeless tires in the 28C variant to about 30 millimeters at the rim. And so if you are someone that really prefers to lock into a 28C tire, I think that this is the perfect specs to go with for 28C tires. And then the third update that Elite Drive made to the Drive wheels is, rather than using that 4 or 5 paw ratchet system in the past, they have finally upgraded their Drive line of wheels to a DT Swiss style star ratchet hub. And this uses a 36 tooth star ratchet hub. And let me tell you, the free hub on these wheels sound incredible. Hear me calling out to you, cause that's all I wanna do. Your eyes tell me to pursue when you say look, yeah, but don't touch. No, 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 don't touch. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Sorry guys, got mad excited right now. Anyway, shout out to the Isley brothers. Yo, like and subscribe to this channel if you too also love the Isley brothers. Elite Drive 65D, the version 2, 2025 model, 65 millimeters both front and rear, 23 millimeters internal, 31 external, carbon spokes, ceramic bearings, star ratchet hub design. For the rear wheel, we have 795 grams, 795. Then for the front wheel, and this is an XDR free hub version, tubeless rim tape is installed. We have 688 grams, which gives us a grand total of 1,483 grams. So let's continue. And now the fourth change that Elite Drive used on these wheels is, now, as you guys can see, that the hubs are designed in such a way where the carbon bladed spokes, they now are threaded in, or at least they are not laced by using the side entry version. So it's really nice. So if you should crash, which no one wants to crash, these spokes are not going to immediately detention, which could cause safety concerns. And then the final change is just some of the design elements to these wheels. So they are still using the gloss finish, which is a very common design from Elite, but they also have some options as far as as the font. So I went with the sort of graphite dark font versus like the white or gold, and so those options are available on Elite Drive's website. Some of the other options on Elite Drive's website for this particular line of wheels is they offer, I believe it's 35mm depth, a 50mm depth, and then a 65, and then you can also do like a mixed depth version. Say you want to do 65 in the rear but then only 50 in the front. Perhaps you live in an area where you want to be able to benefit from some of the aerodynamics of a deeper depth wheel, but you also want to have a little bit more of the crosswind stability, then that is also a good option as well. Now the retail price on these Elite Drive version 2 wheels is $1,299 USD, and that is before my 20% off discount code for their summer promotion. Now I believe that is like a $100 price increase from the Elite Drive version 1 wheels, but just some food for thought. I have been dealing with Elite Drive now for about 4 years, as I mentioned earlier in this video, and they have not changed their prices on those Elite Drive version 1 for like 4 years. So the fact that it took 4 years to finally get a $100 price increase, good job for Elite Drive. Some of these other Chinese brands I've been dealing with, they've been bumping their prices up to the point where you might as well just go with a Western branded wheel. So for these to only be $1,299 plus my 20% off code, still offers a really good value for everything you get based on the specs. It's probably hard to tell in this video right now, but what you see up in the sky, that's not clouds, that actually is haze. Here at the beginning of June here in Chicago, we have been experiencing a lot of smoke within the atmosphere, and it all has been coming from the West Coast. So I don't know if it's because of the forest fires or just due to the fact that the Pacific Northwest, you guys just smoke too much weed. Now, I want to talk about tire pressure really quickly, because this year so far in 2025 has been quite the revolution and eye-opening to my overall biking experience. I have my bike fit really dialed in by going to a professional bike fitter. That has been a game changer for me. I also have invested a little bit into a coach locally here in Chicago, and by going with the coach, I have been able to get stronger and fitter than I ever have in these last 5 years of cycling on less hours a week. So that has also been awesome too. And then the third game changer this year has been moving over to tubeless. Now, why do you want to go to tubeless versus using TPU inner tubes? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One of them is, of course, the ability to run lower tire pressure, which what that means is that offers up significantly extra comfort out on the road as well as cornering. So on these wheels, because I am running 28C GP 5000 tires and the internal width is 23, I typically would run, if I was running tubes, I would typically be running somewhere around, say, 70 to 72 PSI based on my weight. I'm like 75 kilograms. But because I'm now running tubeless, I have these bad boys all the way down to like 64 in the front and 66 in the rear. It's crazy. That's like 7 or 8 PSI lower than what I would have with tubes. And the feelings how these feel out on the road is absolutely incredible. So all you guys who've been telling me to run tubeless all this time, I'm a convert. I still have a couple of other wheels that are still running tubes, but for my primary road bikes, tubeless is definitely the way to go. Free hub sound test on these Elite Drive 65D version 2 wheels with the star ratchet hub design. Right now, my wife is currently taking a nap, but unfortunately for her, this is going to go down as the loudest, most obnoxious free hub I've ever heard in my life. Let's get busy. Oh my God. Yo. Yeah, I also just woke up the entire neighborhood. So let's continue. And now that we've discussed the specs, the price, we've weighed out these bad boys, let's go ahead and take out these wheels out on the road so I can give you my first initial thoughts on these Elite Wheels Drive version 2 wheels. Out on the road, these wheels feel really good. They're fast, they're comfortable, and they also feel very solid, to the point where if you were wanting to use these wheels for either like a crit race or your local fast group rides, particularly where the terrain is very flat and you aren't constantly surging, these wheels make a lot of sense. One of the areas that I actually was really surprised with these wheels is just how comfortable they are. What I've noticed, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, is these wider carbon bladed spokes, they seem to just offer up a little bit more comfort than carbon spokes that are more on the narrow side. I don't really have any way to actually validate this out in the real world, but my suspicion is these wider carbon bladed spokes, they just seem to flex a little bit more. And so for having a set of wheels at this depth at 65 millimeters front and rear, having that little bit of extra flex and comfort make a lot of sense, particularly as soon as you dial in your tire pressure and wheel combo. Really, the only main area of criticism I have for these wheels is just simply that due to the nature of these wheels, because they are on the deeper side, they aren't going to be as quick to accelerate as a set of wheels that are going to be more shallow. When it comes to crosswind stability, I do find that these wheels do handle crosswinds just a little bit better than the previous generation of these wheels. These wheels are probably just a tad lighter than the version 1 of the Elite Drive 65D, but there's just too many variables in the specs to really be able to iron down as to why these wheels just handle crosswind a little bit better. So overall, I would say for a set of ready-made wheels at this depth, the Elite Drive version 2 make a lot of sense. Now, you're probably asking yourself at this point, from all of the different wheels that I have tested and reviewed, why would a consumer go with a ready-made wheel as opposed to going to a custom set of wheels from like an OEM supplier? And there's really only two reasons I can think of. One is wheel specifications, and two, brand cachet. If you're someone that does not require any sort of special or custom specs in your set of wheels, you just want to buy something that's already ready to go off the shelf, and you're not too concerned with just having this, very, very custom experience, then there are still plenty of customers who would rather just not spend all the extra time and just go with a brand like Elite Wheels that offers up sets of wheels that are just ready to go. And the second reason why someone would go with a ready-made wheel is simply just brand cachet. At this point, I've been testing and reviewing, like I said, these wheels for like 4 or 5 years. And even here locally in Chicago, it's very hard to convince the average rider or racer to go with a set of wheels from the Chinese market. Basically, there are only a handful of brands that people kind of trust. It's going to be the Windspace with their Hypers, Far Sports, the number 6 wheels, and then of course Elite Drive. So having that brand cachet, particularly if you are a consumer who is new to purchasing a set of Chinese wheels, is going to be very, very important. And at this point, I would say that these Elite wheels with this latest Drive version 2 wheels, they are basically the new Windspace Hypers of years past in the Chinese market. Now, what I mean by that is there was a time a couple of years ago, or even a few years ago, where the Windspace Hypers, they were on the cutting edge when it came to carbon spoke wheels. They offered up a lot of performance. They were super stiff, and the price point was very, very competitive. And I would honestly say that at this point, when you look at the specs and you compare everything 1-to-1, these latest Drive version 2 wheels have basically slotted in and have taken over, in my opinion, as essentially the new Hypers on the market for the price point. And again, at $1,299 USD, before any sort of discount codes or promotion, you're getting a lot of value and a lot of specs for a ready-made wheel. And again, that does include the spare carbon spokes, which are included. You get tubeless valves included, and then the tubeless rim tape is already installed from the factory. So I can kind of understand now why Elite Drive, why they waited just a couple of years longer than all of their competitors to present an update version of these Drive wheels. They really wanted to make sure the price point was competitive. They were very specific with how they spec'd out their rims. These rims would be perfect for either 28C or 30C tires. Both are combinations that I run myself. So they were very, very thoughtful in how they rolled out these wheels, and they're offering all of this at a very, very competitive price for a ready-made wheel. So that is going to wrap up today's video, guys. Huge thank you to Elite Wheels for sending me out these Drive version 2 wheels. Naturally, I will be doing a follow-up on these wheels as we continue along in the summertime. Questions, comments, and concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.